Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shehakol nidbareh. Chaim l'chaim. Chaim bracha. Welcome, folks. I continue with the Maimer Basri Lagani. So, in order to create a world of good, God's garden that we have to create in this world, so we're given something that's difficult to understand and appreciate, and even to put into words. We're given, and this is the ultimate thing that we're given, Orein Seif Lamaila Adin Kates, an infinite light that's above, beyond anything, that is inherently hidden, even though light means revelation. So when you're given something and it's hidden, what actually are you given? What actually are you given? Like if you have $1 million in your bank account and you don't know you have that bank account, so what are you given? Metaphorically, we explain this as a light or a chayzer. There's light that is direct, and light communicates. How does light communicate? Because it reveals. Right? In the dark, you can't see another. In the light, you see another, which allows you to connect. So light is about connection. Light is about communication in that connection. And actually, that's what communication is, connection. So when we speak about or yashar, a straight light, so a light can come down from a very far place and go down to a very deep place. So that is below to no end, that infinite light of God. That God wants a relationship, because that's what light means, right? Darkness, nothingness is, before God created the world, there was only but Him. So there's no communication, there was no or, there was only God. Light already means, before creation, or before the process of creation, is there a need for light? No. But now that God wants a relationship with us, so now there's a light of the Ein Sof. There's light of God. Again, light means to communicate, to light is there for a relationship. Relationship means communication. That's right. That's the basic form of communication. That's why we're called in Hebrew medaber. Humankind is called medaber, which comes from dibur, speech, communicators. That's what we are, right? And when we communicate, we shed light of our feelings. We shed light of our understanding, intelligence of things. And that is the whole idea. Now, as we mentioned in the metaphor before, as a teacher who is shedding light of his master teacher of his wisdom, so he wants that to integrate, and that light of his should be something you absorb, like food and drink. We absorb it and it becomes a part of us, l'chaim. It becomes a part of us. At the same time, there's something that's makif, that's beyond us, because a true master teacher gives much more than what you can absorb, right? Gives that which hovers over you, right? And that's below to no end. As we explained, that the light goes, as the light from the sun goes in straight fashion, that light, as it communicates. Excuse me a second. Hello? Hello? No. All right, that was this new security system. So, sorry. So light comes down from its source. It takes 8 minutes from the light of the sun to come down to Earth, 7-8 minutes, something like that. So it's communicating. What's it communicating? Well, warmth from the sun, right? Light from the sun. That's what is being revealed to us. So, but then, and those are all things that, as we've explained earlier, I'm not going to go back into the explanation of all of this and how we're being equipped with this from the treasure of the king in order to fight the battle of the king, God's battle, to transform a lie into the lie of the world to truth, the darkness of the world to light. And that ultimately, what is happening? That God is communicating that to the entire world. His presence, his being, his goodness. Ultimately, we'll see his divine pleasure. So, in that, so that's the coming down. But then there is something that is sort of a paradox. We call it the infinite light of God, a light that's infinite, right? But yet it's hidden. So it's beyond us and hidden from us. And it's not something that will be revealed eventually by, the light coming further. So it's not like, maybe the light from the sun needs more than 8 minutes to go to a further distant place, right? So, no, that light any light that will eventually be revealed, that's a straight light called Or Yashar, that eventually will be revealed. So when the teacher teaches and you didn't get the teachings now, well, maybe you'll get in a month from now, maybe you'll get in a year, or like 40, like the Talmud says, 40 years. Right? But it's something that hovers beyond us, but it is something that we will get. But then there's something that is essentially hidden. And it's still being given to us. Not in a way that's being communicated to us, not in a way that the light is shining upon us. And it's called Or Chayzer. It's a rebounding light. It's sort of like the light, hits the earth and it rebounds back. So it's as if it doesn't want to stay. It wants to go back. It wants to hide. It hides itself. It hides itself. An intelligence, this would be an intelligence that's beyond, that can never be revealed. Never be revealed by the source of revelation, meaning like the sun, it won't be revealed because it's given to us. This is something that we find in us, of us, not because it was given to us. Right. So we explained earlier also that, in the teacher giving, it will be through metaphor, riddle. When you look at the metaphor, you could see it's complete. If you don't know the wisdom, if you just told a metaphor without what the analogy is, you would never come to the analogy, right? You would never come to it unless I told you what it's analogous to. I mean, I don't know if you would never come to it. That's a strong word to say. You wouldn't see it there. Likewise, the stories of the Torah, right? They're like analogies for deeper divine wisdom. If you, it's completely, so to speak, it's not like a straight light that, oh, okay, got it. Now, okay. So the Rebbe Rashab in his Mimer and the Rebbe in Yud Shvat for the Mimer Hasidic Discourse Bosi Lagani for the day that the previous Rebbe passed away, he mentions every one of the Rebbeim of the Rebbes, including from the Baal Shem Tov, Mr. Magid, all the way down. Of course, it's based on the previous Rebbe's Mimer. And he mentions all of the Rebbes, a teaching from them, and he weaves it in a perfect tapestry to give us an understanding of the concepts and the ideas that we're learning. So here he's quoting from the Rebbe Rashab, actually from a Hasidic discourse that he said at the wedding of his son, which was in the 13th of Elul in 1897. Very deep idea over here, and this is what he's speaking about. Imagine at his son's wedding. Pretty awesome. So he says we'll understand this better by understanding pleasure. And in pleasure, there are three dimensions. Most pleasure that we are aware of is called Tainig Murkav, is a pleasure that is a composite. It's made up of things. For example, you have pleasure in eating an apple. Why? It's a composite of things. The red or green color attracted you. The fact that it's looks looks delicious. It's tasty on the palate. So all those are pleasures. It's a composite of things, right? So it's a revealing pleasure. And most things are like that, the coffee. The coffee, apple, same difference. But let's go for a more abstract pleasure or a more refined pleasure. Music, right? So you like the words, the melody, the way it makes you feel. Those are all separate ideas, right? That come together. It's a composite of things that bring you the pleasure. Just okay, normal, right? We're learning right now. I hope you're having a pleasure in it, right? Why? What's the pleasure that you're having? Well, maybe the pleasure you're having is that uh, I'm giving out, again, possibilities for all of us. Um, the pleasure is, first of all, I got up early. So there's a pleasure in the fact that I got up early to learn. So, that feels good. There's a pleasure there. There's a pleasure in, of course, I grasp, oh, I'm getting this today better than I got it yesterday. That's a pleasure, right? That's it. Intellectual pleasure. The emotional pleasure that I got up, and I'm here and I'm focused. And I, there's a pleasure in the fact that I'm focused in the learning. And I'm not being distracted. Yes, I felt distracted. So I'm feeling the pleasure and that focus of learning it. And now I'm getting it. So that's a composite of things that bring to a pleasure. We get that, right? But then there's a pleasure, and now this is it's called Tainug Pashut. We spoke about this. Now we're going into it a little more. So a simplistic pleasure. Simplistic doesn't mean simple-minded. It means it's Pashut means like when you take off your hafshata means to abstract or to take off something. You're taking off the outer layers. So in the first kind of pleasure, it's got layers to it. Oh, which one is a greater pleasure? What adds more to the pleasure? Is it what adds to you? Well, you take the pleasure of your clothing, right? Well, what's the pleasure? Is it the outer layer of my kapata? Is it my shirt? Or is it my tzitzis that are, giving me the pleasure of the clothing that I'm wearing? Or is it the teacher that, the outer, the kapata? Oh, chassid, shliach. Or is it the nice white? It's white clean shirt, right? It shows of the cleanliness. Is that the pleasure? Is it the tzitzis, the mitzvah? Oh, mitzvah, is that right? So there's different layers of clothing. There's different layers of pleasure in clothing. So in the one idea of being clothed, right? So that's a composite, right? That we're seeing the different layers. But that Tainug Pashut means I have to take it all off, right? And come now to the core. What's the core of that's Tainug Pashut is the core of the pleasure. What's the core of the pleasure that you're experiencing? So here I would suggest, and when we're speaking about learning, let's say, because we're learning right now, right? What would be the core of that pleasure? The learning itself. Then I'm learning Torah. I'm learning Chassidus. That's it. Nothing else. That's taking away all the layers. That's getting to the core of it. The fact of learning Chassidus. Oh, yeah, but where's the expression there? Where's the multitude of layers? No layers. That's a much deeper pleasure. That's a much more profound pleasure. That's already still kind of revealing, though. Then there's a deeper pleasure. And this is going to be hard. I don't know. That doesn't hold itself onto anything. Here, the pleasure was, right, the layers of pleasure that I gave about learning, right, the learning, that I overcame my ADHD that I usually have in the morning because I'm not focused. Oh, that was a pleasure. That I got the idea. That's a pleasure. That I It's the mimer is building up now, and I'm really seeing where it's going. That's a pleasure, right? It's all different layers of it, right? Here we're talking, no, you're getting to the core of it. Just that I'm learning Torah, and through that itself is the connection, right? Like, let me build this up a little more. We don't have time. We never have time. You go out with your spouse, go out with your wife. So you have a pleasure in, you went to the restaurant and you have the pleasure from the music. You have the pleasure, from the place where you've been seated. It's, a nicer, more romantic, if you will, right? You have pleasure from the conversation. Um, you have a pleasure from the food. You have the pleasure of all those things make the evening, and that's mostly what we are, right? The composite pleasure of what we experience. But there's the deeper one, and that is just the pleasure that I'm with you, and for no other reason, just to be with you. All the other things are extraneous. They're layers, that are right. This is tiny kapasha. Just that I'm with you. It doesn't matter that if I'm at a restaurant. It doesn't matter if we went to the museum, or we went to whatever, on a vacation. That's irrelevant when you touch the core. When you touch it, I'm spending time with you. That's a pleasure. Tiny pasha. There's even a deeper pleasure than that, right? So that one is a deep core connection. For most of us, we don't get there in life. Oh, I'm having a pleasure just in the learning, just right. Now, it doesn't mean to exclude the other pleasures also necessarily, but that we come to a pleasure just in the mitzvah, not what, like, the feelings in the mitzvah, not the appreciation of the mitzvah. No, in the mitzvah itself. Just in you, I have a pleasure. I gave the metaphor of my wife yesterday, right? With the baby, right? That's where we can have an experience, just to hold the baby, right? Not to feel good because, oh, I'm a grandma that is a real good grandma, a bubby, real good bubby that look, taking care. That's already composite. That's a pleasure already, That's not taking away the layers. It's not core. We don't experience that too often. The next one that we're going to learn is a deeper one that